Hey guys, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this awesome tab selection window inside your Wix website. Now this video will require a little bit of code, but of course, as usual, I will have that available for you on my website. So you'll find the link to that in the description below. But let's go ahead and get started with the design before we actually add the code. So the first thing I want to do is actually add two sections. With this top section, I only want it to be like, let's say 150 pixels high. And then I'm gonna come over and apply a grid. Now for this one, I kind of just want there to be one row, but let's go ahead and set 5 columns. Now let's go ahead and add a container box inside each of these grids. We'll go ahead and do that for the second one as well. And we'll go ahead and do that for this third one right over here. Okay, next let's go ahead and add a button. So let's just go ahead and drag out a button. I'm gonna go ahead and position it at the top left. I'm gonna go ahead and set the width of it to 100%. And then I'm gonna set the height to 150 pixels, just like that. Now obviously you probably don't want a button that looks like that. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just completely remove the corners. And I'm actually just going to remove the background completely. And we'll just set the text color to black. And then for hover, let's just go ahead and choose like a dark color like that. Make the text white. That looks fine. Okay, let's go ahead and copy and paste that. We'll put it into the second column. And we'll go ahead and do that for the third as well. Okay, I went ahead and changed the names of these buttons, but the last thing we're gonna put here is just a little line. And for this line, we want it to be 100% width of this section or of this column. And we're gonna go ahead and center it inside the column, but we're gonna place it at the bottom. And once again, we'll go ahead and put it inside of each one of these sections or columns. And we'll just make sure that they are positioned correctly. Great, now we can go ahead and start designing the sections that would appear when the user clicks on each one of their options. And for this example, let's just say we want to add our blog post. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is add a container. In this container, let's just go ahead and apply a 3x1 grid, just like that. And we're gonna go ahead and set the width to 90%. And we're going to center it up. Okay, next let's just go ahead and adjust grid and let's add like a 20 pixel spacing in between each item, just like that. Actually, let's go ahead and make it like 40. And then the next thing I want to do is just remove the background from it completely, just like that. For this example, let's just go ahead and set this to, let's say like 450 pixels high. And we're gonna go ahead and give it, let's say 50 pixels of margin on the top and the bottom. We're gonna make sure that the section height is set to none. Okay, next let's go ahead and add a repeater. And we're gonna go ahead and attach it inside of this grid that we created. And we're gonna go ahead and press stretched. Now, if we come over to change layout, we can actually set it to grid cells. And now let's go ahead and place in another container inside this repeater. We're gonna expand it. Of course, we're going to remove the background, and then we're going to apply a 1x2 grid to it. Now this top one's going to be an image, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to round the edges and add a little bit of shadow. And next, I just want to kind of add a title here. This could be the blog title. Then let's go ahead and add a paragraph. And last but not least, let's go ahead and add a button, which I'm actually going to add it up here first. We're going to change the text to read more. We're also going to go ahead and style it so it doesn't have such sharp round edges. And now we're going to place it inside the repeater right underneath the paragraph. And the reason I didn't put it straight into the repeater is because if I put the button inside the repeater, then all the buttons would say start now, start now, start now. And if I edit one inside the repeater to say read more, then the other ones would still remain as start now. So typically I like to add the buttons outside the repeater, edit it how I like, and then I'll move inside the repeater. That way they all have the same design that I like. Just a little quick tip for you. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to just go ahead and copy and paste this section. We're going to go ahead and do it again for our third one. And so we'll be able to tell a difference between these sections. I'm going to go ahead and change the image inside the second section and the third section. And something else that I do want to change is for this container with the button and line in it, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the background completely, and I'm going to go ahead and do that for each one of these as well. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and add another container right inside of it. And this container that we're about to use is going to be the container that shows when the user selects this specific item. So now I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into each one of these columns as well. And now if we open up the layers panel, we can also just reorder these so that the line and the button are on top. And we'll have to do this for each one of these sections, or each one of these columns. And now that we have the final design complete, now it's time to actually code it. However, before we can actually code this to work, we actually need to name each one of our elements. So the first thing you want to do is come up to dev mode and make sure that this is turned on. Once it's on, then you'll have access to a panel that looks like this. Here in this little window, we can actually add the code to make it work. However, over here under ID, hashtag, and you can see this little text that we can edit. Here is where we can actually change the name of each one of our elements. So let's say this one is called Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. So what we want to do, and this might be easier with the layer panel turned on, but what we want to do is grab the container, the button, and the line from each one of these and name it. So for this container, what we want it to be called is Season 1 box. For the button, we're going to name this one Season 1 button. And lastly, for this line, this one's going to be called Season 1 line. And if we take a closer look on how I'm naming these objects, the first letter of the first word is lowercase. However, the first letter of every other word is capitalized. In the coding world, this is called camel case. This is basically how you write names of things in code. But now I'm just going to go ahead and do that for each one of these for Season 1 and Season 2. Great, now that we have our button areas all named correctly, now we can start naming our actual sections. So for this one, we want it to be Season 1, we want this one to be Season 2, and Season 3. So we're going to go ahead and grab this section, and we're going to name this one Season 1. Okay, let's go ahead and grab the second section and name this one Season 2. And we'll go ahead and grab the third and name this one Season 3. And there is one last step before we can actually start coding. And basically that is to hide all of the elements that aren't currently selected. Now, typically when you see this on a website, first option is selected. So in this case, we don't want these to be gray and we don't want these lines to be shown. Also, we don't want Season 2 and Season 3 to show up on our page yet unless the user selects it. So in order to do that, if we go into Season 2's box, we can select the container, and then over here on the right, we can set the default value to hidden. And we can also do that for the line as well. And then let's go ahead and do that for Season 3. We're going to go ahead and grab the background container and hide it. And we're going to grab the line and also hide it. Okay, and you can see when you hide it inside the editor, it gets a little bit lighter. Same with the line, if you can see. For the sections themselves, for like Season 2, what we actually want this to be is collapsed. And when we click off of it, you're going to see that it has a bunch of lines crossed through it, basically telling us inside the editor that on the live site, this is going to be collapsed by default. And we also want to do that for the Season 3 box as well. We're going to set it to collapsed. Okay, great. Now we are actually ready to start coding. For this code, we're actually going to put it inside the onReady function. And let's say we want to start with Season 1. What we want to do is do a $W, and we're going to go ahead and call the Season 1 button. Okay, And we're going to do an on-click event. Now what we need to do now is call each one of our elements that we named on the page and either show or hide it. For season 1, what we want to show is the season 1 box, the season 1 line, and the season 1 section. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do $W, and we're going to call the season 1 section, and we want to expand. Okay, next we also want the season 1 box to show. And lastly, we also want the season 1 line to show. Okay, now that we have all the right things showing, now we need to hide all of the other items. So let's just go to season 2. We're going to do the season 2. We're going to do the season 2 section, and we're going to set this to collapse. Next, we also want to grab the season 2 box, and we want to hide it. And last but not least, we need to grab the season 2 line and hide this as well. Okay, now it's time for season 3. So we're going to grab season 3. We're going to collapse it. Next, we're going to grab the season 2 box, or season 3 box, and we're going to hide it. And last but not least, we're going to grab the season 3 line, and we're going to hide this as well. So basically, this is all the code if a user selects season 1. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to copy season 1. I'm going to paste it 2 more times, and we're going to make this one season 2, and we're going to make this one season 3. Okay, but now we need to change the collapse and expands. So for season 2, we need season 1 to collapse. We need the season 1 box to hide, and we need the season 1 line to hide. However, we need the season 2 box to expand. We need the season 2 box to show, and we need the season 2 line to show as well. Okay, great. Now we're done with season 2. And for season 3, of course, just like before with season 2, we need season 1 to be collapsed. So we'll go ahead and hide the section, and we'll hide the box and the line. But then for season 3, we need the section to expand. And we want the box to show, and we want the line to show as well. Great. Now when we go ahead and save and preview, this is what we're going to get. Just like that. But that basically wraps it up for the video today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and consider subscribing for more Wix content coming out really soon. Again, if you would like the code I used in this video, it'll be available on my website, so you'll find the link to that in the description below. But thank you all again, and I'll see you all in the next one.